Everybody's looking cute today. And actually, you're kind of on trend for the 2026 Oscar red carpet.
How so?
Because we had so many women looking like they were on the safari, like they came straight out of the zoo. Now, I will say, you look much cuter. I think your print is much cuter than what was being derived with much of these feathers that I'm alluding to.
Oh, no, I hope you're not talking about who I loved. Who are you talking about?
Well, there's a few of them.
Okay.
Amy Madigan had feathers on. Yeah. She kind of looked a mess. Demi Moore had feathers on, looked terrible. Who else had feathers? Anna Taylor did not like face and body can never do wrong, but it was giving zebra. And then the best of the feather gang was Nicole Kidman.
I thought you were going to talk about the person who I thought looked the best overall over the night. It wasn't really feathered, but it was something. Did you see Queen Latifah?
No, I didn't even know that she was in attendance.
Oh my God, she looked incredible.
Okay,
like, incredible.
At the Oscars, not Vanity Fair.
Yeah, no,
okay,
at the Oscars, I think. I think it was at the Oscars. I think she was on the red carpet. But yeah, she looked incredible.
Do you know the woman from Sinners who was nominated for Best Supporting?
Wunmi Mosaku. Mm-hmm.
I hate when a nominee wears their better outfit at the Vanity Fair's like after party. She was one of them. The cutouts were not it on her.
I don't even remember what she was wearing.
She was wearing like a green bedazzled, like kind of form-fitting dress, and she is very pregnant, which like wasn't a problem to me. It was just that the arms were like had these hole cutouts that I didn't love and I don't think were flattering. And then at the Vanity Fair's after party, she was wearing another like totally like jeweled or bedazzled dress, but it had more shape on her body, nothing on her arms, and a cape.
I don't know who is an expert on outfits before and after, during, and Vanity Fair, but we should talk to someone about like what is the calculus between what you wear at the Oscars and what you wear at the Vanity Fair party.
Well, I think the only calculus that I can put into play is if you think you're going to win, you have to think about how you're going to be holding that statue and what you're going to look like from the waist up specifically, which the person who delivered on their fashion for that moment for the first time this award season, in my opinion, and she is gorgeous, was Jessie Buckley. She came in a dress that looked like a dress that you would win in and would be remembered well in history.
Very interesting. I've never thought about this. Maybe one day I'll get to go and I'll get to think about it. You know who looked really good at the after party?
Who?
Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, I didn't see her.
Okay, the color of her dress was not one that I'd never be like, this is a white woman color, but it was like this orangish reddish color, but it looked so good on her.
The only other piece of fashion that I wanted to talk about was Kylie Jenner, oddly enough, re-wearing a dress that she had worn before in a different color. I would never think that she would do something like that.
First of all, she always wears the same silhouette.
Yes.
This silhouette, this like halter silhouette, very boob forward, but this was like, I never know how to say this place, Schiaparelli.
Yes.
Okay, with the keyhole.
Yes.
Yes, like that is, I've seen her wear that as well. Like this is, I think she's trying to do like a signature thing with them, but I'm just like, it's boring to me. Like give us something new.
It is boring, and I didn't really love like the Jessica Rabbit approach for her at the Oscars. Like she's always giving that type of sexy.
Yes.
Why don't you give us fashion?
Give us fashion.
Which I don't know if her ass, her medically, formed ass can give fashion.
Well, I do want to talk about her man because, look, I decided this weekend that I really want to be a positive person. Like, I want to put out positive energy into the world because I would like positive energy back. But I got on the internet and people were just backing up what I felt. And so I have to say it out loud. What happened to Timothée Chalamet in the last year?
That's interesting that you asked that because right before coming in, I saw a side-by-side on Instagram of him at his first Oscars, which I think was either 2017 or 2018, after Call Me By Your Name. And he was in a full white suit and he had his long hair and the sharp jawline and just looked like a piece of art.
Yes.
And mind you, it was like nearly 10 years ago.
Yes.
We're almost approaching a decade on Timothée Chalamet.
Okay.
So nearly a decade later, why does Timothée Chalamet look like someone I graduated high school with who's at the local Wawa who might be giving me gas because I live in New Jersey where that's actually a job, and like definitely like smokes a lot of nicotine and just kind of looks like young, aged out dad.
He doesn't look like he's putting anything into his health or appearance, which is so weird coming out of Marty Supreme, which is a movie about, I'm going to put in quotes, an athlete. And he has this woman on his arm who clearly cares a lot about her appearance. I was hoping you would say like that was 10 years ago, because what I will say is like, there's not a lot that happens to you between your 20s and 30s. I don't even know if he's 30 yet. Is he even 30?
Yeah. He just turned 30.
Okay.
He just turned
There's
30.
not a lot that happens to you. I wanted to ask you because you know a lot about Jaws. What happened to his jawline?
I just don't think he's as skinny as he once was.
So, okay, people were arguing about this online. Some people were like, oh no, he's just fatter. People were saying, no, he's actually skinnier and just less in shape. And I'm just like, I don't care. He just doesn't look like the star we fell in love with, I guess.
Well, not only does he not look like it with the opera comments, which like didn't ruin his chances of winning last night. The voting had already concluded.
Yes.
But what I think that moment was really indicative of was it exemplified how much stock we had been losing in Timothée Chalamet. It was a cumulative moment for me in terms of the person we once bought into was this really considerate, thoughtful, careful artist. And like, I think a lot of the hatred was performative, which Doja Cat, I think, is a great exemplifier of this. Like, she went in on him at first on a TikTok, and it was like, Doja Cat, where have you been? Why are you coming into the conversation? To which then Doja Cat, I think, was like, why did I get involved in the conversation? And this is virtue signaling because I too haven't gone to see an opera or ballet in recent memory, aka ever. And the thing is, Timothée comes from a long line of ballerinas, his grandmother, his mother, his sister. And beyond all of that, he comes from a performing arts high school and like is someone who has always deeply cared about the arts. So the comment is just a departure from the man we first met. Him dating Kylie Jenner, a billionaire, is a departure from the man we first met. I think that he doesn't have the same resonance to the girlies and the gays who propped him up. And now the girlies and the gays are questioning who is Timothée Chalamet.
Well, and I do think that like he came into a lot of people's public consciousness through Call Me By Your Name, which was a deeply artistic movie and like, a movie that you don't expect, a young and up and comer to get cast in, like a no name at that point. And I think that we were just like, oh, this is, like you said, an artist. This moment happened where there were all these things happening. Him being with Kylie, which a lot of people don't like, whether it's the billionaire thing or it's all the surgeries, the ditziness, whatever. The Marty Supreme marketing, which really put a lot of people off.
Especially people in the film community.
Exactly.
Like Oscar voters, Academy members.
Exactly. And I think people really just use this moment as a way to humble him.
Well, that's the whole difference between him and Michael B. Jordan, who ended up winning for Best Actor last night. And that was the only category that I think was like extremely heated or really questionable going into the telecast last night. And Michael B. Jordan's whole speech was one of being humble and remaining humble. And Timothée, ever since he won the SAG Award last year, he's talked about wanting to be a great, but that has kind of transitioned into this braggadocious element that we saw in the character of Marty Supreme that like has now spilled over into his personal life and like could have been a marketing play, but it's one that backfired. And the thing about Timothée is, do I think that his performance in Marty Supreme for me was the best performance from an actor this year? Yes. That movie was shut out last night. It didn't win any of its 9 nominations. There was no intention for it to pick up any award besides Best Actor. That was the only question mark. It's a movie based on that performance. And with that said, the Oscars are just a political platform. It's oftentimes the person who gives the best performance isn't winning.
Yeah.
And I think that the Academy reminded Timothée last night that he's not going to get it with this current mindset and that he needed to be humbled. And they're saying, you're going to have to go put in some more work in order to gain a statue. And he might get an award later down the line where it's one of those, he's owed.
Yeah.
Which is oftentimes the narrative.
Yeah.
It's not, this is the best performance. They're owed their award. It's time. I mean, we can even say that for Leo. He got it for The Revenant. Like, that's not anyone's favorite Leo performance.
I think Martin Scorsese got it for that one on Netflix that's like 3 hours, 4 hours long. I can't remember what it's called, but it has...
He had one before.
It had De Niro. It had
Martin
Pacino.
Scorsese had many awards before.
Did he have for Best Director, though? I'm not sure that he did. I might be wrong. But
I think he won for The Departed in 2006.
Okay. Going back to your thing about it's a political ploy, not to take anything from Michael B. Jordan, and I didn't see Marty Supreme, so I can't speak to it. But I mean, we talked about this in another episode. Someone who should have been nominated was Jesse Plemons, and he wasn't nominated for that movie. And he was, for my money, he was the best performance of the year. And I've said this before too, whenever I see that Jesse Plemons is going to be in a movie, I know it's going to be a good movie. But one of the things that I thought about last night as I was watching it is I really got to get into the betting market, because the way I was cleaning up on my predictions.
Oh! So you're telling me that you were the one American who had the tie?
Oh no, of course I didn't have that. I didn't have the tie, but on the short documentary, absolutely not. But like, I mean, I called Sean Penn's win. I obviously did not call that he was going to be a no-show. He's the first no-show, save for COVID, since 1987. During COVID, Anthony Hopkins won, but he couldn't show up.
He did this for political reasons.
I mean, do we know yet? Has he said? I have to imagine he's kind of like, that's who he is.
People are alluding to that's the fact, because he's had problems with the Academy due to political reasons in the past.
Well, I do think that a lot of people feel like doing this during this times feels frivolous. So it was interesting that he didn't show up. And then I learned that Katharine Hepburn, she didn't show up for all 4 of her nominations. She was like,
for her wins.
For her wins.
She is the only actress to have 4 wins.
Yeah, and she didn't show up for a single one.
Interesting. I did not know that.
A bad bitch.
I did not know that. And her last win was also a tie. I think she tied with Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand, when she won Best Actress, it was a tie.
Can we talk about Barbara Streisand?
I didn't. I tuned out in that moment. I didn't know what she was saying.
Okay.
I mean, I knew who she was speaking to, Robert Redford, but I didn't listen because she was kind of like droning on.
Okay, Barbara Streisand, girl, we love you, Babs. You're amazing.
That's what she was talking about, being called Babs.
He's the first one to like give her that little nickname.
Which never knew that. Loved that little anecdote.
Love Allure. But where she really lost me was that song. Did you hear her singing?
Okay, I heard her singing and I was like a little rough, but she doesn't really sing in public. Like, that is a known thing. Like, it's rare.
You mean like in years?
In years.
Okay.
Like, it's really a rarity for her to sing, and she doesn't like doing concerts and et cetera, et cetera. So I was like really surprised for her to open up her mouth that way.
Okay, well, good for her. I mean, she did it because she loved him, it was a tribute to him. So I'm going to say kudos to her, but it was rough. And the thing is I do realize that things happen to your voice as you age. Like, you don't have the voice you had as a young person.
I think because she has a hesitancy to touring and doing live performances, she probably isn't exercising her vocals as much as
that makes
some
sense.
of her peers. Did she sing Evergreen, which was the song from A Star Is Born?
I really can't tell you.
I mean, it says something that this is like the moment I tuned out of the most, but it was.
Yeah. Otherwise, I thought that what do they call that?
The In Memoriam.
In Memoriam was really beautiful. I love that they had Billy Crystal talking about Rob Reiner. I don't know. It was really beautiful, but something's wrong with my brain. I have TikTok brain because there were 2 people who just died that when their names popped up, I was like, what?
Who?
Diane Keaton.
Yes.
And Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, those were like the 2 big ones.
Yes. And I'm like, for real, like 2 seconds, I was like, what? How did I miss this? And I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you? We've even talked about these people.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And in addition to them, the Robert Redford, Val Kilmer, I was like, well, we lost some really big
heavy hitters,
Hollywood icons this year.
We did. Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was why that was an extended segment. Wait, I did want to just say, I have a Timothée Chalamet Kylie Kardashian prediction.
Okay.
So
I'm really excited about this, by the way.
What, this prediction?
Yes.
It came to me while I was driving here.
Okay.
Which is, now that he's been humbled, he is going to have to work hard for his
Mm-hmm.
next Oscar. There is Timothée Chalamet fatigue, which a lot of that has to do with he's been on a perpetual campaign since December of 2023 with Wonka. He had Wonka that Christmas. He had Bob Dylan the next Christmas. He had
Mm-hmm.
Marty Supreme this Christmas. And he has Dune Part 3 the Christmas that's coming this year. So we're still investing heavily in the Timothée Chalamet ecosystem. With that being said, I have heard him say that he doesn't have his next project lined up after everything that he's already done and is filmed and completed. So now he's going to have to figure out what his schedule is going to look like moving forward. I think if he were to have gotten the Oscar last night, him and Kylie would have started family planning. I think that's what he wanted because he's also alluded to wanting fatherhood. But now I don't think he's going to be able to explore fatherhood or heavily invest in that if he's going to have to go full throttle now on his career to obtain an Oscar. That I think if he is going to take that humble pie and eat it, he's going to have to be chewing on the fact that maybe he's going to have to get right with his art form, and that's going to have to take precedent and priority over anything else. And how is that going to work in a relationship with a family that like oftentimes wants like the nuclear family dynamic or some semblance of that, that I think he is going to find himself ousted from that relationship in this calendar year because their values and priorities are going to shift greatly.
And do you think he's going to leave her for his career, or she's going to get tired of his shit?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how it's going to play out. I think it might be mutual.
I never heard him talk about the family planning thing, but it is interesting to me anyway. Like, you often don't see men of means, men who are going to be big stars, really get together with single moms to start with. And this is coming from a person who was a single mom, so I'm not shitting on single moms, but that's interesting. And I hope it comes true because you should put a bet on that. You should put wherever you bet. Okay, here are the things that I just want to run through that I really liked about the Oscars. I loved that they did all the appropriate draggings. They dragged CBS, Amazon, Ted Sarandos in the Room, AI, Trump, Melania, and her documentary. I love that Amazon was shut out of all of the awards because I loved everything that Conan did.
You like Conan?
I don't care about Conan, but I thought that he was really, really good.
Interesting. He isn't my brand of comedy. I think that like I really tried to evaluate it last night because he's never resonated with my spirit, nor did I grow up with him. But in the ecosystem of late night, you have Kimmel, who's my favorite, who I feel like is like the best at being like a showman with like real deep Hollywood interests. And with that, Kimmel is one of the only ones who's LA based. So like what I mean by his Hollywood relationships is like he's hanging out with these people in a different way than everyone else is on the other coast in New York. So they have like this distance to Hollywood. Conan, I feel like, is the dorkiest. And then you have like Colbert, who's the smartest. You have
Seth Meyers,
who I love way more than Conan, who's like kind of like fun uncle vibes, like wacky.
Jimmy Fallon,
my least favorite,
the worst,
even worse than Conan. Just like doesn't feel genuine to me.
No.
But Conan, he just doesn't do it for me.
So I never cared for Conan. Never. Either way, just never had any opinion of him, and I just thought that he did a really good job. I think that like I laughed a couple of times out loud. I liked the cold open that had the Gladys incorporated in all the movies, and I liked how they incorporated the Skarsgård dad in so many of the things, like so many of the skits, because I feel like a lot of what the Oscars is about is giving people their flowers, and I just thought that was really cute. And then one of the other things that I liked too, and I had to do a little research on like where did this come from, was the Bill Pullman, Lewis Pullman, like they were,
oh yes,
and they kind of did this riff on like, you've done this all by yourself. Like, you didn't ask any help from me. And I'm like, well, they're clearly playing on the Nepo baby thing. And apparently Lewis had given a interview saying, of course, being the baby to someone who's in Hollywood, of course it helps. And for people saying that it doesn't, you're being ridiculous. So I really love that.
I know, that was a fresh take. He's also dating fellow Nepo baby Kaya Gerber, if you
I
weren't
knew
aware.
that. I did know that. I did know that.
The Skarsgård joke also found its way into the bridesmaid segment, which all of those women, I mean, Maya Rudolph had an amazing night. Her and Paul Thomas Anderson, do you think they went to a hotel afterwards and fucked like bunnies?
I don't know. They got a lot of kids.
I know, but that's why I think that they might have gotten a hotel room.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, their oldest kid's like 2021. So those kids are actually kind of on the older side. Yeah, they can probably do it at home. They got, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But great night for Paul Thomas Anderson. Great night, like by extension, Maya Rudolph. But Maya Rudolph in that lineup, every single one of them,
incredible.
Didn't age, looks even better.
Like Rose Byrne, my God. I mean, I knew because, you know, she was doing the stuff for If I Had Legs, I Could Kick You. She looked really, really good last night.
Was she on stage with them? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Melissa McCarthy. Looked great.
Yes.
Yeah, they all looked really good.
I didn't like Rose Byrne's dress.
No. Okay, so many people were giving prom, and that's what I really didn't like. It was... A lot of people love that dress, by the way.
No, my friends loved that
A lot of people love that dress. And congratulations to just Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, because they've been going through it together for a long time. Michael B. Jordan has been in every Ryan Coogler feature film. Love people who stick with their team.
I know. That was a very clearly indicated with both Paul Thomas Anderson and Ryan Coogler.
Yes.
They invest in people and they remain invested in them.
Yes.
Like the cinematographer, the female cinematographer.
Yes. Who won. She was the first woman to ever win the cinematography award. And by extension, obviously the first woman of color. She's part Filipino, part Black Creole. The guy who won Best Score, this is his third Oscar, but the first one was for Black Panther. Second one was for Oppenheimer. Third one was for
Ludwig. He's shared by Ryan Coogler and Christopher Nolan.
Yes, who, can you imagine being in that company?
They're good graces.
Yeah.
Also, they're like completely different men, a white British man and then a Black American man.
Yeah, and like a very specific Black American, like very Oakland, like I love him so much.
He's very himself, which I love.
Okay, and then so I guess the last thing that I want to talk about being yourself is there was a lot of uproar online about Tiana Taylor's behavior and people being like, she's doing too much. And there's two camps. It's like, you guys applaud authenticity when it's Ryan Coogler, but you don't applaud authenticity when it's a woman. And apparently when she put Paul Thomas Anderson in that headlock, that it was planned. Like she told him, like, I'm going to go ham if we win. Like, and so I guess like, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I've never met a person from Harlem who didn't have high self-esteem and wasn't turned up, like literally never. And also like, why does everybody have to act with certain kind of decorum? Like people want to be like, well, act like you've been somewhere before. If you've never been here before and you may never get here again, why do I have to act like I've been here before?
No, for sure. And I also love people who are like the biggest cheerleaders for their own projects. Her being a great exemplifier of this. Another one being Jacob Elordi. Every time Frankenstein team won for one of the technical awards, like hair and makeup or costume design, him and his mom in the front row were the first people to stand up and like give them the biggest hugs and kisses.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was really intimately aware of every person who worked on that film and like deeply invested in
He
them.
seems like a really decent guy.
He's a gentleman.
Yeah, he seems like the antithesis of Marty Supreme, Timothée Chalamet.
The current iteration.
Yes.
Which I will just say also, them being like the two like good looking men, neither of them delivered on their looks.
No, I agree.
Like Michael B. Jordan did. He looked handsome.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, one person who wasn't in attendance at the Oscars but was at the after party who I just want to bring into the space really quickly, Alysa Liu.
Okay.
Because we haven't been able to talk about her.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that she is mesmerizing to me. Like, her hair looks like it came straight out of Hot Topic, which I love that, like, she's just different. Would it be my choice? Absolutely not. But, like, go for it. Love that she like revitalized what it means to be an ice skater. Like, I feel like she just like ignited this passion in the next generation
Agreed.
of women who want to go after this, because I've never seen someone do a routine on ice that I've ever cared about. Always loved gymnastics, but like have never cared about ice skating. She made me care about ice skating. She made us all care about ice skating. And I just find that fascinating in and of itself. Her routine to stateside at like the Olympic Gala, not what she won gold to, is just like on repeat on TikTok for me. I am just like glued to my screen watching how effortlessly like she moves on the ice. And yeah, I love this moment for her. And I think that she also has a future career in self-help because how she talks about mental health is incredible.
The way she talks about everything, she's so clear in who she is. Going back to being authentically you, she's so clear in who she is. And the fact that she's so young and was basically, she said, forced into the sport and basically ground into a pulp doing the sport by her dad. And she retired and was like, I'm not going to do it anymore. Came back on her own accord and was like, okay, I'm going to give it another shot. Came back so big, winning all these gold medals. And yeah, like every time she sits at a table and someone asks her a question, sometimes with like a little snide undertone, like she's just so like clear in her words, clear in her mind, and never snarky, but just like it always to me reads as an unintentional read just because she's like, I'm going to answer the question in the way that is true for me. And that's that. She's so adorable.
Her piercing, she did it herself.
Girl.
I'm like, how did you do that yourself? How did you do that yourself? That scares me.
Yeah, but she's a confident young lady.
She is a confident young lady. Another group of confident ladies. I'm watching Ladies of London on Peacock, which is a Bravo show.
Okay.
Best reality TV in the longest time.
And yet you have not texted me to start watching it.
You need to start watching it because, okay, it was like a show that was previously on for 3 seasons. You don't need to get into any of those.
Okay.
I never watched, which included Caroline Stanbury, who was on Traitors this year.
Okay.
And then became a Real Housewife of Dubai.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyways, she's had like a trajectory on reality television, which I knew a little bit about, but I didn't realize she originated from this show called Ladies of London.
Okay.
Which was like revived with a new cast, which is like under season 4 on Peacock, but like is wholly new.
Okay.
And this cast is insane. Someone quits by the second episode on camera at like this final dinner that they're having on screen because she doesn't understand everything that has been captured is already being used against her. And she thinks that she can control the narrative in real time and literally says to the group, I don't think I can do this. And also it just like gives you this like insider look to like the aristocracy and the noble rankings inside of it. And like a woman who is the first Black woman married into the aristocracy is a part of the show, which a lot of people attribute that to Meghan Markle, but she was actually the first. Meghan Markle being the second.
I think I might know who this woman is.
I don't know what her name is.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
I'm still getting familiar with the cast, but I just implore anyone who misses reality TV when like social media isn't influencing the narrative. This is very much like the earliest seasons of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or like the earliest seasons of any of the best of them.
Yeah. Okay, so when it's called Lady of London, they're literal ladies.
They're ladies of London.
That's incredible.
Yes,
okay.
But there is a gay cast member, which I also think is refreshing. Like these shows, Real Housewives, have never had a gay cast member
as the main character. Yeah.
Which they totally could. I mean, we can like suspend disbelief on most of them aren't even married.
Literally.
Most of them aren't even wives.
Either divorced, never married, been divorced for years and years and years. Like, yeah.
So it's refreshing to have a gay guy in the mix because they definitely add a good amount of drama.
Yeah. And it's on Peacock?
Peacock.
You love some Peacock.
Because all of the reality TV shows get pumped onto Peacock a day later and I don't watch cable.
Yeah. Who has cable?
Yeah. So Peacock is essential for me. Also, speaking of gay men, I went and saw a movie. Saw a movie called Pillion with another Skarsgård. So the Skarsgård family stays employed.
Yes. And well, because the dad, he got about 6 kids.
So many children. Alexander Skarsgård in this movie is so fucking sexy. It's about BDSM and him being a gay biker man who forms a relationship with this young kind of uninitiated guy to both sex and gay culture who is gay himself and becomes this sub in this sub-dom relationship. And The sub is played by Harry Melling, who is Dudley from Harry Potter.
I know.
The fat cousin.
I know.
In those first movies.
He's not fat anymore.
He's not fat anymore. He has a very interesting look about him.
He has an interesting face. He's clearly British. I'll just say that.
Pillion made Heated Rivalry look like a PBS special.
I saw it called Kink to Kitchen Sink. Because it was like, you have a regular looking guy. We'll just say, we have a regular looking guy. That's the kitchen sink. Just like regular in your house type stuff. And that it's so kinky. I was Googling it. I just put the name of the movie in and people were like, how is it rated X? How much sex is in this? Is this safe to watch? Like, people were really like, oh no, this is dirty.
It was essentially porn, which
it.
I loved. Like tasteful porn, though. It was the best depiction of gay sex I've ever seen in a film. It was giving me everything I wanted from Baby Girl, but didn't get in terms of people pushing the boundaries on a consensual BDSM relationship. It's not the popcorn fanfare of 50 Shades that really diluted that text, and like those actors probably weren't really willing to actually go there. They fucking go there. I was horned up in this theater. Also, like, it's not just a sexy, horny movie. It is sad. It is tender. It like takes you through a kaleidoscope of emotions. There's even a cancer story sandwiched into it, which usually like when a cancer story is sandwiched into a film, you're like, what are you doing here?
You jump
like,
the shark.
You jump. Not in this one. Like it actually just like adds to this beautiful portrait of a relationship because the man who is the sub in the relationship, his mom is dying of cancer while he's like giving himself fully to Alexander Skarsgård. And like, she's like, where is my son? Not because he isn't like attending to her needs, but like she has limited time. So she wants to make sure that like he is in good hands. And like their relationship is one that like isn't understood by many. So she's at odds with it. I was in the theater with another woman who went with me. She was the only woman in this theater. And I left that theater and ended up hooking up with two guys that night. From the hours of 2 a.m. to 7 a.m., I had two guys come over because I was so horned from Pillion. Neither of them gave me the experience that I was searching for, which was some high. And I texted her the next morning that was the night I just had. And she said, I want to know what would have happened in that theater if I wasn't there because I was the only woman in attendance. And I was like, you know what? You're so right. Like, would dicks have been whipped out in this public theater?
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah, she was like the op in the theater. Do you know what?
She was.
You know, Alexander Skarsgård has been fine his whole life. Like, he came into my consciousness through that vampire show, True Blood, where he was a vampire. And my God, I remember when I first saw him, and you know, I'm not into blondes. I'm not into light eyes. That Swedish look is not for me. But he just has something. And for the last couple of years, he's been doing a lot of kind of press that makes people be like, sexually, what's going on with Alexander Skarsgård?
Which him doing this movie, what I will say is I can't say that he is queer, but what I can say is that he is a sexually explorative AF and doesn't have shame around sex.
At all. And you know who his best friend is?
Who?
That guy from 30 Rock, that Ken from 30 Rock. He has like that
30 Rock.
What else was he in? He's like this nerdy guy, and he like, anyway, they do like a lot of stuff together. It is the weirdest friendship I think I've ever seen, just because you're like, how did y'all even meet, first of all? But like, and you guys hang out. Anyway, he's just so adorable, Alexander Skarsgård. He comes from a obviously talented family, and
the way he's dripping with sex in this movie, like they end up like wrestling at one point, and the one character has to sleep at the foot of his bed most nights, like isn't allowed in the bed. I was like, I'd maybe let that go on for one night, but I don't know about many nights.
Well, I think the fact that you said that you had two hookups right after this movie is like the biggest endorsement of this movie you could possibly give it.
No, I think everyone needs to go see it. Like, if you are a sexual creature, You need to see
And not a
Pillion.
homophobe.
And not a homophobe. And also, like, so it follows, like, the gay biker community, too, like, on the outskirts of London or in London. And the director was a first-time feature filmmaker.
Whoa.
And he's, like, only 33. And he cast real-life gay bikers.
Oh, my God. That's so hot.
Well, I will say Alexander Skarsgård, from, like, conventional attractive standpoint, is the only eye candy in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But the film isn't about anyone necessarily being any sexier than him. It's about, like, being a sub or dom, like, consensual control.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really cool.
It's really hot.
Yeah.
What's not so hot is the fact that I have multiple boxes of David bars at home. Multiple boxes of these chocolate chip cookie dough flavored bars that claim to have 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, and 0 grams of sugar. Meanwhile, I come to find out that there's now a lawsuit against these bad boys because plaintiffs are claiming that lab tests found that they have up to 83% more calories and up to 400% more fat.
I'm not surprised. I'm not going to lie. I'm not surprised. When I found out about the background of this company, so The Daily had done a episode about protein being in everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Kardashians putting protein in popcorn and protein drinks and protein this and whatever. They focused, there was like a segment dedicated to the David bar, and it was like how this company like found a way to somehow get this much protein and this few calories. And the person who's like behind all of this is like a former bodybuilder and all of this stuff. And I'm just not surprised because in America, we just don't have a lot of guardrails anymore, especially under Trump's America, around this stuff.
No, so wait, I was watching Snack Wars on YouTube with Jennifer Garner don't even know what she was promoting, but it's like a UK versus US like snack series by this company. I don't know. I really like this video series for some reason. And they gave her like, I forget what she was eating, but they were like, is it as good as you remember? Oh, it was a hot Cheeto, because she said she hadn't had it in years and she had only ever craved it once when she was pregnant. And she goes, no, nothing's as good as you remember. And she goes on to explain why. And she was like, because these companies have figured out how to make their product cheaper, and in order to do as much to meet this bottom line, they've taken out whatever we used to have in these foods that were already bad for us, but they were much better 10 years ago, because they've just found all of these loopholes to make it cheaper and cheaper and put worse ingredients or whatever it's missing, so nothing tastes the same.
No.
And I was like, she just unlocked the truth.
No, that's true. Like, I used to be a Hostess girl. I used to love Hostess cakes. Can't eat most of them now. They don't taste the same at all. Little Debbie's don't taste the same at all. It's crazy. And it's not just nostalgia. It is, they don't taste the same.
And when she ate her Twinkie on the series, she goes, yeah, I can just taste chemicals.
Twinkies taste awful.
Also, going back to the David bar, like, the CEO is claiming that we're not getting Regina George by these, which I do not know. But what I will say is, regardless if this ends up actually being 150 calories and 0 grams of sugar and 28 grams of protein, if that is true, I will tell you, Bear Bells are so much better. Bear Bells actually taste like chocolate bars. These still are like sticky and have like a protein bar like texture. They don't taste terrible. They taste honestly better than a Quest bar, but a Bear Bell is the best of them.
Bear Bells are good.
Bear Bells are better than a Hershey bar.
Yeah, Bear Bells are good. I never really got into those David bars. Like, I know you were on them, but I'm just like, I don't know. I'd rather just eat some chicken. Give me the straight protein, the real kind.
I ended up meeting a guy at the beach this weekend.
Okay.
And I was scrolling through Grindr in the sand. And
before he got there? Or
Before he got there,
okay.
because before I even messaged him.
Oh, okay. Oh.
He lived at the beach.
Okay.
And in his bio, it said, I've been told that I have an aptitude for devotion.
Okay.
Which is a line from Pillion.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, clocking it. You saw this movie, which was already a good sign. And also, that's a sexy quote.
Yeah.
He comes down to the beach. We end up having an amazing time. We're just laying together in the sand for like 2 hours. We're going to go surfing this weekend.
Okay.
But a fog comes over the beach, like out of nowhere. Like it was a beautiful sunny day. And the next thing you know, it was just like gray everywhere. Like it enveloped around us. And I was like, what is going on? And he's like, the fog is crazy. And I was like, well, I hope it's fog. And he goes, what do you mean? And I was like, well, you know, we're supposed to have drones coming here from Iran attacking us this weekend. So I really hope this is fog because I can't see the city horizon beyond the sand in front of us. And he goes, well, we'd kind of deserve it, right? And I'm like, yes, this is what people are waking up to. We are the bad guy globally. Like, people are finally getting in tune to the fact that, like, we start wars.
Yes.
If you are disillusioned by this fact, the U.S. military is also the largest terrorist organization globally. With that being said, we would have bombs raining over all of our heads if we didn't pump billions of dollars into our military. So it's like, chicken or the egg, it falls into itself. It falls in on itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a catch-22. I had a very similar experience this weekend. Me and Evie went to Universal Studios yesterday to do like a little girl day. And as we're walking down the city walk, there's a shit ton of police, like a shit ton of police. And I'm like, okay, all the pedestrians, all the patrons are acting normal, but there's sheriffs like on every little storefront. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what if I'm at this Universal Studios, I'm at a park, I'm like a sitting duck. Like, isn't that like a great place to attack?
Absolutely. And also when you're from Los Angeles and they're telling us that California is going to be attacked, you start to think about like what would be the city center because we're all so spread out. So like there are populous areas, and one of the most populous areas is like Burbank and Universal.
Exactly. Or, you know, another hot spot would be like Disneyland. But one of the things, like, I had a lot of sad things that popped into my mind as I'm like looking at all these cops, because I'm like, okay, this actually is a perfect spot because I'm looking around. I'm like, save for like one every 5 or 6 families, everyone's brown. Everyone's brown. Like, Latinos love Universal Studios, tons of Asians, few Black people, and fewest white people. So I'm just like, if a place was going to be bombed, well, let me just back up. Did you hear this thing that like it's a false flag from Trump? Like, to say that Iran is going to attack California.
100%. This
but
is
that,
what
yeah.
like conspiracy theory level. Like we'd almost allow the attack to then ratchet up war efforts against them. And of course, he would allow California to be attacked because they hate California, which also goes into the billion-dollar enterprise that is the United States military, that like we pump all of this money to keep our citizens, quote, safe. Meanwhile, we're enacting terror elsewhere. But because we can remain safe with this military regime in place, we shouldn't be allowing any citizens to be hit on a grand scale because technically we should be able to intercept that technology if we're so far in advance, especially with a country with a low GDP like Iran.
Well, and I'll take it one step further. There are people who are not only saying, not only would Trump allow it to happen, that they'd make it look like it was Iran and it would be the US because of all the reasons that you just said.
I honestly have seen this start to bubble up that I'm like, I don't think anyone trusts anything anymore. Like, why are we not talking about the Epstein files anymore?
You know, we've said on the show many times, it's all connected. And I would put nothing past Donald Trump and his administration of podcasters and MMA artists. They are simultaneously the biggest idiots, but also the most malicious, nefarious humans you can possibly think of. So I would not put it past Trump and his cronies to create a full-scale war against multiple countries, Venezuela, Greenland, Cuba, Iran. Now we're attacking Iraq. Now we're attacking Lebanon. Like, I'm like, is it Netanyahu himself
And I was
who has
it's also
this?
in the name of Israel.
It's like, does he have the P tapes? Does he have the tapes where you're raping and killing children? Because why are you doing everything in the name of Israel?
I think that because it seems that the Israel complex that we fund, which their military is our military and vice versa, I don't know that we would have this claim over the world if it weren't for our footprint in the Middle East, which it seems like they're really grappling with. We're an empire about to collapse, and this experiment of what America was or is, or I don't know, it goes to show that, like, we don't have any culture besides white supremacy, because and I think that that's what's going to kill us all, because all of these other countries that I think we were once in partnership are going to soon turn away from us and look at their own interests, because this isn't making a whole lot of sense.
Well, and all of the historians who study the fall of empires say that there's a predictable pattern of how empires fall, whether it was England before this or it was the Russian Empire, whatever, Roman Empire, that there's a predictable pattern and that we're falling into that pattern perfectly. And so on one hand, of course, it's like, I don't want to have to die for some war created by some crazy human in the White House. But on the other hand, it's like, let it burn. Let it burn.
Well, this is also why people like you just got back from Uruguay and are looking at alternative paths. It's like, this is what we're trying to be eyes wide open about. Like, when do we maybe want to divest from America? Because America is not what we want to be a part of.
Well, and people are saying, like, the new American dream is to find a way to move away from America. And that's where, you know, me and my husband are. It's like, you cannot be afraid of what our country has told you about the rest of the world. The rest of the world is beautiful and safe and not warmongery. Like, there are people who just want to, for them and their children's to thrive.
And have better balance, period, which makes them happier.
Absolutely. And so I really am. After this trip to Uruguay, which was incredible, you know, the architecture is incredible. It's on water. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out on the street on the Rambla, which is like a boardwalk on the river at any given time. I'm like, people are out here like living life. They're listening to their AirPods, reading books. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, I have to imagine children who are growing up in a place where the college is free and you have this access to such beautiful nature, that they're growing up much better than children here who don't even go outside, first of all, are addicted to TikTok, second of all, and living in a time where the vibes are so awful because of
people like Jake Paul being someone that they have to look up to.
Yeah, oh my God.
To aspire to be.
Yeah.
Interviewing our president.
Yeah. How did this happen? Like,
interviewing our president about nonsense, about the Jake Paul talking about the war in Iran and saying that, I don't understand why people are up in arms. You say you support women, but you don't support liberating the women of Iran. And I'm like, what? And then Trump responded by saying, we support the gays, but they throw gays off the buildings. And I'm just like, here in America, yes, women might have more freedoms than elsewhere, but women are hated. By men, specifically. Women are hated by men. They are put in positions to be slaves in households time and time again. And we're talking about the gays. Is this not the administration that's literally trying to eradicate trans people, 1% of the population?
And let's just say this out loud too. The people who believe in MAGA, they're a group of people who would also send women back to the Stone Age. Like, not only do they hate women, they do actively want to take away rights. Every single day I see something new about revoking women's rights. We already don't have a right to our bodies. Like,
the voter ID law that might be put into effect.
Exactly.
And then there are women who are wolves in sheep's clothing, like Erika Kirk, saying, Don't let anyone disenfranchise you because you're a young man, especially a young white man.
They are really good at pushing this narrative that the white man is the most discriminated person in America. And it is getting through to young people. It's getting through to young white men.
And the reason that they're the quote most discriminated or it's being perceived that way is people are done with the white patriarchal bullshit, aka all of the white men who are billionaires who are upholding the Epstein files.
You know, and what these women will find out, and some of them have already found out, is that you are just a tool.
Pawns in their game.
And, you know, you're a token woman, and tokens get spent. Tokens get spent.